Hello everyone and welcome to ISpeakSpokeSpoken.com. My name's Dan and today we're looking at the verb to be. Now remember, everything you see today you can download from that I if you click the I at the top, or you can use that link underneath if you're on a mobile or tablet. So be, why is it important? Well, it's important because it serves as a main verb, as we know, but it also can be an auxiliary verb when you're using the continuous form. It also plays a very important role in the passive voice as well. And it changes depending on subject, tense and mood. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Let's explore a few of the various forms with the verb to be. Now, the verb to be doesn't stay or doesn't change around the word be. Sometimes it does, but a lot of the time it completely changes. So it's something that you need to learn vocabulary-wise. In the present simple, be changes to am, is and are. So I am, he is, she is, we are, they are. Okay, it changes completely, and it's very important that you know which ones go where. But actually you'll notice this is very similar to all other verbs. So the rule aligns with everything else. But you'll notice that when we go on. Past simple, was and were. This word were, make sure you get that right in pronunciation terms. It's were, okay? Okay, it can be, British people, I say were, but Americans will say were. So it's very important to just don't worry too much about getting it right, but as long as you make sure you get it between those two stages, between were and were is anywhere good. Future simple, will be. So be, then we're seeing the verb, we're seeing the one that we know. Will be is where the verb is at its stage where you can see the verb to be. Present continuous, being. As an auxiliary verb as well in the continuous form. So, for example, I'm being, is being, are being, for example. Past continuous, was being, okay? Were being. There we have two. We have the auxiliary and we have the form of be. So it works together in that one. But don't get confused by seeing the two words together because it's just part of the form. One's the verb, one's the form, okay? Past continuous, yeah, we've done that. Present perfect, has been, okay? Have been, he has been, they have been. Very important that you also see that you have the two forms. So has is the form and be is the form of the verb, or the way we put the verb there. Past perfect, had been. Okay, so similar thing to present perfect, but that has becomes a had as a past form. Future perfect, will have been. Okay, remember, just to recap about perfect, perfect means before. Okay, so before the future, before the past, before the present. And here you can see how the verb to be works with all of these. That's what we have in its various forms. So just be aware that although it looks quite complicated like this, it's actually not that difficult, and we will see plenty of examples coming up in the next few slides. So please don't worry about where to place these different forms, because you will see over the next few slides where to put things. And do remember that you can have a look at the slides on that I and on the link below if you're using mobile tablet. So, using be as a main verb, so describing states, characteristics and identities. So she is a teacher, okay? They are happy. She is a teacher. Teacher, like me. There you go. Starts strong at the beginning, has this E sound. We've got the double dots for the elongated E sound. Teacher. Now here we have this teacher. It can be, you can say, like we were talking about were. You can say teacher or you can say teacher. It depends how you want to speak. It comes from different areas. So different areas of the UK, different areas of the US and Australia. They will all have variations from to okay, so remember this always. They are happy. Okay, this is quite a strong okay, not happy, happy, okay, happy. They are happy. Excellent. So let's have a look at the continuous tenses. So indicating ongoing actions. I am reading a book. I am reading a book. Remember, I am, she is, they are. It changes depending on being me or being someone else, or being a third person. So this is very important that you remember. So I am reading a book. Book, this sound, book. Okay, I am reading a book, present continuous. We were watching a movie, past continuous. We were in the past. We were watching a movie. And again, were, we've seen that word on the last slide, and we've got this word movie. Ooh, again, like teacher, this ooh has the double dots and it makes it longer. Movie. Okay, and again, this is where it starts. This is where the strength is. Okay, past continuous. So let's have a look at the future continuous. They will be staying in this hotel. They will be staying. This will be, okay, this is the future form. Be takes the form that we know, the infinitive form. So, well, the infinitive form, like the infinitive form, to be. They will be staying in this hotel, okay? Something they will be doing in the future, future continuous. So there's the continuous forms. So just to recap a little bit about the continuous form, remember that actually this is in its auxiliary form. So I am reading. The main verb is reading. So I am, we were, they will be are auxiliary to reading, watching and staying. So just be aware of that, that in this form, that's what be does. That's its role. Okay. So let's have a look at the passive voice, because the passive voice is something that we need to kind of just make sure that you understand. The cake was eaten by the children. We're focusing on the action rather than who did the action. So the cake was eaten, and actually this part here doesn't need to be there. We can add it there if we want, but the action is still the most important. We can say active form, the children ate the cake, okay? Now that's because the children are the ones that are guilty. They're the ones that we're talking about. The children ate the cake. But in the passive form, we just know that the cake is gone. So the cake was eaten. The cake was eaten, and then we have what I would say would be additional information by the children. It's not as important as this bit, the cake going, the cake being eaten, okay? The next sentence, meat is eaten by carnivores. Now in this sense, again, this part is important, meat is eaten. By carnivores is kind of important in this sentence, but it's more factual because we don't say carnivores eat meat, because actually this is a little bit more formal in its sense. So when it's formal, when it's more factual, you'll find the passive voice actually in that sense, because it gives you a more formal and factual feel to the sentence. So the book will be published next year, okay? This sense is great because it doesn't tell us who or what is going to do it. It's just passive form completely. So if we wanted to make it similar to this one, we can say the book will be published next year, and then we could say by, I don't know, and then publish a name, okay? You could do that. But again, we don't need to do that today because this is enough. This is all we want to know. The book will be published next year, all right? All right, let's go on. I think you've got it. Okay, let's have a look at some common mistakes and tips. We need to understand some common errors when using the verb to be, so you can significantly improve your speaking and your mastery of the verb. Because actually, if you know what people get wrong, you can avoid these things before you even make the mistake. So, one of the main things that happen is actually that there's an incorrect subject-verb agreement. So, for example, instead of saying she is a doctor, here we have she are a doctor. Well, it's not correct because it should be they are, or we are doctors, for example. It just doesn't work at all. So what should it be here? Yes, it should be she is a doctor. She is a doctor, okay? This is something that happens quite a lot. Maybe not always with European speakers or European language speakers because we have similar structures, but it does happen, and it's a mistake that people often make. So it's just something to be aware of. Just make sure that that subject-verb agrees and matches. Okay, misusing forms. So, I am eat dinner, for example. Please be aware that actually that doesn't work. I am eating. You can say I eat dinner, every day. You can say, I am eating dinner now. So I am eating dinner. This is the correct form. But I am eat doesn't work because you've got this auxiliary. You can't have an auxiliary and a simple verb. It just doesn't work. It's not possible. Because if you say I am, then you need either adjective or you need this continuous verb. Okay, so great. Something to be aware of. Overusing be verbs. Now this is something that happens. And to be honest with you, we need to look at why it happens and what's going on here. So, for example, to overuse this phrase, he is being annoying. Now, people do say this, and it is said a lot, and it does happen. But actually, this is possibly not the best way to vocalize this. You could say, he annoys me. So, he annoys me is a slightly better way. However, in informal speech, especially with my kids, what they tend to do is say, he's being annoying, or she's being annoying. And it's perfectly okay. In an informal setting, when you're just trying to say that that person is acting that way. This one is like, it's affecting me. He annoys me. So this behavior is making a difference with me. So the difference is kind of important, that you get that difference. This is stating that that person is acting a certain way. This is saying that the way they are acting makes me feel annoyed. Okay? So there's slightly different there. Just be aware of it. All right, let's have a look at some practice examples. Now what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to have a look at the sentences, and I'm going to ask you to be quite quick in working out what you think go in these spaces, and then a few seconds later I'm going to let you know. So have a look at the first one. Let's read it through together without the words. So she, excited about the upcoming concert. She, excited about the upcoming concert. What do you think goes in there? That's exactly right. It is. She is excited about the upcoming concert. So, remember excited, and this is id, so id. Sometimes these eds, we've had a look at it in other videos, so you can find that, but ed has three different sounds. Id, t, and d. Okay, id, t, and d. And this, in this sense, it's excited. So let's have a look at the next one. Okay, the document prepared by the secretary. The documents prepared by the secretary last week. What do you think this would be? Remember, last week is a clue. The documents prepared by the secretary last week. Okay, yep, it's were. The documents were prepared by the secretary last week. Now this word here, secretary, it's quite a difficult. You can say secretary, you can say secretary. It depends where you're from, and it depends how you speak English. But it's actually perfectly okay to say secretary and secretary, because it just depends where you're from. So don't worry about that too much. It's great to know, isn't it, sometimes that you can say words in slightly different ways and still be completely correct. Okay, the next one, number 3. So, you going to the meeting tomorrow? It's a question. You going to the meeting tomorrow? That's a nice and easy one, that, isn't it? Okay, yes, you're right. It's are. So, are. Are you going to the meeting tomorrow? This is where the strength is. To. This is our schwa. Remember this sound, this sound, tomorrow. Okay, last one, number 4. They playing football when it started to rain. They playing football when it started to rain. Past form. So what have we got there? They were. Excellent. They were playing football when it started to rain. Excellent. So I hope that's given you some insight as to how to use be in English. Remember, all of our slides are on that I above, link below if you have a tablet or a mobile. Practice, do the quiz, see how you're getting on. I think you did pretty well this time. So until next time, my name's Dan, and this is ISpeakSpokeSpoken.com.